Good morning, everybody. This is Ryan. It is time for class to begin, and so let's do this thing. As I look in the text chat, I see Brenda saying hi. Good to see you, my dear. Hope all is well with you and everybody else. Trip, how you doing? Stephanie? Um, guys, there's a well, let's do this. I'm just going to go ahead and ask you to let me see. I'm going to share my screen, and I want to make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. We had a little difficulty last time. I just want to make sure that this is working correctly. So tell me what you are looking at right now. Okay. What I'm looking for is this. If you should, right now, you should be able to see uh, the full size on the, you know what I'm talking about. All right. It's all good. Whole page. Excellent. That's what we're looking for. Well, finally got it figured out. Excellent. All right. And if I change slides, give me a confirmation that just changed. We go to the disclaimer. Perfect. All right. Well, we got it. All right, guys, disclaimer. We start out with reminding you that we are not going to be talking about any specific trading situations. I'm not a broker. I'm not a financial advisor. I was for several years. I was a professional financial advisor. Never was a broker, but I'm not acting in that capacity today because securities, um, they're an appropriate thing to discuss, but I'm not going to give you advice on any specific trades. This is education, period. All right. All trading involves risk. Getting out of bed involves risk. You need to be careful and make sure that you are not overstepping or overreaching on what anybody ever says. All right. There you go. You guys should have that memorized by now. Let's move on here. We have a calendar that's full. Every time I do this class, I just am reminded of how much of a challenge it is to provide good content all the time, every week, month after month. Rob deserves all the kudos I could probably heap upon him and more. So I love the guy. He's a dear friend for 20 plus years and can't say enough about him. And it's nice to be able to have people that you feel fully with, and from an integrity standpoint, you feel fully in sync. And those kind of people tend to draw other people around them, like begets like. So that says good things for me. It says good things for you. It says good things for all of the instructors on this. And my goal has always been to only be involved with any organization as long as I feel that there's full integrity. And so you got my endorsement, Rob, and I'm just thrilled that I get a chance every few weeks to share some things with you guys. So take advantage of things that are coming up. And there you go. Including this one, my dear friend Tony, who I've known about the same amount of years as Rob. Okay. All right, guys, I am going to do, in football, they call this an audible. And I'm going to tell you that 30 minutes ago, 35 minutes ago, I completely decided to change everything I was going to say today. And in the last 30 minutes, I rewrote the entire program, including hitting the last button as the clock said 9 o'clock my time, 12 o'clock East Coast time. It all worked out. So I have, high hopes that this inspiration I got will be valuable to you. That's my hope. Okay. And I will do everything I can to try to make that a reality. But I got to tell you, this honestly came from a flash of inspiration. Guys, it dawned on me about a half an hour ago when I was listening to something. Guys, I'm 71 years old. I don't know what that means to you. But I'll tell you what, I am so grateful that I am not what I thought 71-year-olds were. Okay. When I was in my 20s, I had a very distinct impression of what 70-year-olds was. My father passed away, having, some issues at 70. He didn't quite make it to 71. I had some trepidation as I approached 50. I'm like, man, I'm within 20 years of when my dad passed away. 60, now I'm within a decade. And I tell you what, the last 2 or 3 years was a little bit sketchy as I thought about, holy smokes, I'm coming up on that. Um, I look around and guys, I know I have friends, I have people that are 70 that look like and act like what I was afraid of when I was looking at this from my 20s. So I guess it can happen, but I'm going kicking and screaming. I do not believe that my best years are behind me. I am grateful that I am not in that position of what I was afraid 70 would be. I'm looking forward to, I'm going, golly, 20 more years, I'll be 90. I guess it's not realistic to expect I'm going to feel this way at 90, but why not? I can't imagine letting go and giving in, although it'll happen, but not now. It's in like the Gladiator movie. He said, someday, we're going to die, but not today. Okay. Yeah, we're going to die someday. Not today. And that's my attitude. I believe that we manifest what we believe. I've heard nice positive things about this, and I totally believe that. But this is something that, folks, we got to be able to wrap our heads around. And does this affect our trading? Does this all apply directly to trading? Absolutely. But it applies to everything else in your life. And so, because this is my forum, I love the quote that says a preacher came in and started the sermon by saying, I came here to preach and you came here to listen. If you get through before I do, feel free to leave. Okay. I think that's very profound. I love that. If you get through before I do, feel free to leave. But nothing is holding. If you get bored with what I'm talking about this morning, guys, nothing is keeping you from hitting the let's go surf TikTok, if that's what you want to do. But I believe I've got something very important to share with you today. I have a friend whose telephone message, when you call and he doesn't answer, it says, this phone only receives good news. Please leave some. I thought it was cute. I've known him for a number of years. And every time I hear this, I've kind of slowly started to get real cynical about that, because as I've gotten to know this person is an eternal optimist. Anything wrong with that? Not necessarily. I believe in living in an attitude of gratitude, but I'm starting to see, and I've seen a Pollyanna type of behavior with this individual. We've been involved in a business venture over the last year and a half, and not once, not a single time, has there been something new and exciting that happened that he got all excited about because he's kind of a point man on this. And, oh, this is going to be great, da, da, da. I can't think of one time where what he got so excited and got us excited about has actually turned out to be what he thought it was going to be. Not once. Now, I got a question for you. I want everybody to answer this, but you don't have to answer it online unless you want to make a comment. If you want to, I'd share some wisdom. I'm okay. Whatever you want to say it. But I want you to answer this question. How many times do things work out exactly the way you expected it? Or how many times do they not work out? What's a percentage? What's a number? I want you to come up with a number. I want you to think, in general, how many times do things work out exactly the way you thought they were going to? 80%. Okay. 80% is what? They don't work out. Or is it 80%? Or Jennifer, are you saying that 80% of the time it works out exactly the way you thought it was going to? Trip says rarely, maybe 5% of the time. Stephanie says, I don't think they ever come out exactly, but sometimes it's better. Jennifer said, wow, guys, we need to go to Jennifer's class. If I'm hearing this right, she says 80% of the time it comes out exactly as good as she thought it was going to be. That's amazing. Barry says 30%. Brenda says 10%. Guys, I feel like it's at least 90% of the time it doesn't work out exactly the way you thought it was going to. Okay. Most of the time, for most people, things don't work out the way they thought they were going to. That's the reality of most people I know, everybody I know except Jennifer. Okay. Trip says the key word is exactly. Yeah, well, okay, so let's say this. Let's narrow it, Jennifer. Let's figure this out if we can't get in sync with you completely here. Where you have something significant on the line, when you have something at risk and you go into something where there is significant risk, how many times does it work out exactly like you hoped? Or there's a very specific reward. Guys, there's a reason why people say hope for the best and what? How do you fill in that blank? You hope for the best and you plan for the worst, Stephanie says. Prepare for the worst. Okay, everybody's jumping in. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Why do you plan for the worst? Because it happens sometimes. Sometimes it misses by a little bit, sometimes it misses by a lot, and you never know which one it's going to be. So it's great advice to hope for the best, plan for the worst. Okay? That's good, sound advice. Now, does it mean you're cynical? No. Does it mean you're not optimistic? No, it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with being optimistic. But to think, I am going to manifest what I believe, and I'm being a little cynical here. Somebody says, there will only be good news on my phone. If I leave this message, no one will ever leave me bad news. Baloney. Bull-oney. Okay? Or bull, anything you want to put behind it. It's baloney. There will be. Now, it's nice, but leaning on that, saying, now I am going to lean, I know this is going to happen. I would bet $1 million. I'll bet my house. I'll bet my house that no one will ever leave me a negative message if I put that on my phone. Well, that's crazy. It's crazy. The sad thing is that this individual, every time some opportunity comes along, he swallows it whole. He literally believes it hook, line, and sinker. And not once in the last 18 months has it turned out to be what he swallowed hook, line, and sinker. So I want you to remember your number. Remember your number, whatever that was, 10%, 15%, 30% of the time it works out like I thought exactly. Remember that. It's going to come up a little later. Okay. Now, let's shift. Let's talk about this manifesting. This is very powerful. Some people think this is foo-foo. Oh, you can't manifest. Okay. I get where people get cynical about the things. Well, you can't just manifest something into existence. Really? People tend to not believe that. Why? Because of experiences they've had, like what we just talked about. Well, when I have expectations, they usually don't work out as good as I thought, or people let me down, or whatever that is. But here's an example. Look around the room, everything that you see blue. How many things can you count? I'll give you 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I've looked around the room. I got 7. How many did you get? In my room, I found 7 blue things. How many did you put? Write it down. How many did you get? 6, 10, 4, 8. Okay, there we go. All right, now answer this question. How many yellow things did you see? Don't look. How many yellow things did you see? Personally, I didn't see any. Look around. Is there any yellow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how in 5 seconds I got 10. Okay. Why didn't you see yellow? Here's a better question. Answer me this. Why are you seeing yellow now? Why are you seeing it now? Come on, guys. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't looking for it, but I'm looking for it now. Okay, so yellow didn't exist when you were looking for blue. You were looking for blue. You saw it. You expected it. You saw more blue. I know there's blue. There's another one. There's another one. And you didn't see any yellow. It was there, but you didn't see it. You, when somebody says you can't manifest something, my gosh, we just did it. You manifested that there were blue things in the room and you completely avoided and missed any yellow because you weren't looking for it. That simply means that if you're looking for something, you'll tend to find it, good or bad, yellow, red, green, whatever it is. If you're biased, it's called confirmation bias. Guys, if you buy a red car and you really like it, isn't it frustrating that once you get on the road, now everybody's got a red car? You thought it was cool because I got to have a red car. I'm going to stand out. I love the way this looks. And then it's, oh, crap, everybody's got a red car. It's called confirmation bias, guys, and none of us are immune to it. And it can be a good thing. I only see positive things. My phone only receives good messages. Ah, baloney. No, it doesn't. But does it help in your attitude? Yes. Can it help if you're always trying to be optimistic? Yes. If you're always trying to be grateful? Yes, it can help. But there's a line between that and the potential negative consequence. Tripp says, for me, I try to be very careful about what I put out into the universe. Manifestation is very powerful. Yes, it is. I bought a new CRV in January. Now I see them everywhere. Exactly. That's hilarious. You know, I thought I was special until I bought one, and then everybody's got one. That's confirmation bias. What's the problem with that? It blinds us to everything else. So manifesting is very powerful, but it needs to be controlled. It needs to be moderated, or it can become a real problem. Guys, look, the problems that we have in our life tend to all revolve around unmet expectations. We tend not to get upset and angry and frustrated about things that came out just the way we thought they would. Oh, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Oh, I'm so sad. Oh, this sucks. Oh, man, I could throw a brick through a window. No, it's the unmet expectations. And what does that mean? We expected something else. We expected something else, and it didn't work out the way we expected. That's the source of most unhappiness in the entire world. I coined a phrase years ago, and it's not a unique concept, but I've never heard this from anybody else when I coined it, nor since. And it's simply this: all of our problems in our life, except for genetics, are self-imposed and self-maintained. Why are they self-imposed? Because we believe them. If we have a limitation in our life, we believe that we have a limitation in our life. It's self-imposed. It's self-maintained because we continue to believe it. And it will be that way as long as we believe it. You change the belief, you change the complete outcome. If that belief is causing unhappiness, that unhappiness can disappear if the belief is changed. Now, limits, reality. Tony Robbins famously said one time, you can go outside and go hum and go in the lotus position and look at your garden and say, there are no weeds in my garden. There are no weeds in my garden. There are no weeds in my garden. Open your eyes. Your garden's full of freaking weeds. Come back tomorrow. I'll just give it time. I'm going to say this every morning. There are no weeds in my garden. Baloney. They're going to get bigger. Just because you try to will them away is not going to make them go away. This is a powerful force, but it has to be put in context for you to use it and for you to not be abused by it. Disappointment, guys, causes stress. Cortisol, which is the negative hormone, is very destructive, causes tremendous inflammation in our bodies. Sadness. All these things are generated emotionally when we're disappointed, when we don't get what we expected. I didn't get what I wanted, so I'm sad. Guys, with enough of this, people become cynical. We become Eeyore, the Sesame Street donkey. Everything's negative. You know people like that. I hope you're not that way, but you probably know people that only see things half full. They're negative. Why? Because they've been beat down enough personally, internally, by things that didn't go the way they thought, that they kind of think that everybody's out to get them. And as they start to believe that, they manifest more of it. And they see everything as a negative and dismal. Ah, see what I knew that wasn't going to work. Okay. And people will just kind of cave into it. Now I go back to being 71. There is a physical reality that you start to slow down as you get older. About a year ago, my wife said, honey, your shoulders are slumping. You're looking old. Now, here's the funny thing, guys. I couldn't say that to her. It's not possible for me to make that kind of comment to my wife, but she can say that to me, and it's just fine. How does that work? That's a segue. Sorry, um, but you know, okay, she was right. I didn't like hearing that. I immediately straightened up and pulled my shoulders back, and it felt good. But as soon as I relaxed, they started to slump again, and I realized there's something going on here, and I don't like it. I don't want to look that way. That's part of the 71 that I didn't want to ever be. So I consciously started going around, and every time I'd sit up, I'd stretch my shoulders back. But every once in a while, she'd say, no, you're still doing it. I go, no, I'm working on this. And guys, I literally have trained myself to where I'm very conscious of my posture. And I learned something a few weeks ago, about a month and a half ago. And that is when I started wearing glasses. I don't know about you guys. Some of you did glasses your whole life, but for people who transition under the normal process of your eyes wearing out, and you have to start wearing glasses, the first thing you wind up with some readers, usually to help you short distance. You don't want to look at them looking up. It's just for reading better. And so they glasses, if you're seeing me on the picture, they tend to ride down low on your nose so you can look over the top. I did this for years. Okay. And then you'd look down to read, and then you look up like this. Well, what you start doing in your 40s, in this case, in mine, 40s and 50s, is you start tipping your chin down. You start looking down so you can look over the top of your glasses. Eventually, you give in and you look through the whole glass all the time, right? But in other words, there's a slow process of starting to tip your head forward. Guys, your head weighs about 10 pounds. Okay. If it weighs about 10 pounds, when you tip it forward, you have to compensate. And you know what you do? You push your shoulders back and they slump forward. Ah, Barry said you get used to it. Yes. And Barry, there's no problem when you're looking through glasses all the time. Your posture's fine. But when people transition into glasses, there's this tendency to go through the phases that I just said. And what happens, I look back and realize, she said, I asked my wife, how long have I been doing this? She says, oh, it's just been kind of getting a little bit worse over the years. Why? Well, yes, there's a gravity effect, but part of it was influenced by the way I was looking through things. And when you're looking over the top of your glass, you tip your head forward. Your head is 10 pounds, you lean it forward, something's got to go back to balance so you don't fall over. And so your posture starts to go into this S shape and it gets exaggerated. Your neck. Now here's the thing, Barry. This is now starting to happen to people in fourth grade. This is a sidebar, but this is important because some of you guys have children and or grandchildren that you should be aware of and care about. Guys, I am very livid because I'm aware of how it impacts me as an adult, but I see a whole generation that is starting to walk around with their head tipped down because they're on their freaking phones doing screen time 24/7, and their shoulders are slumped in, their neck is bent, their whole contour of their spine is changed. It's wrong. It's not healthy. It's not strong. And they're spending hours and hours and hours every day with their head tipped forward, their chin down, and screwing up their posture. This is a chicken that will come home to roost. It will. And we're going to see a whole generation of people with horrible problems associated with their spine, and their shoulders are slumped, and they walk around in this Eeyore kind of position looking down. Okay. Now back to the subject. Sorry about the segue, but this is a case to be made for watching how you use your phones and your devices and how much time you spend and how often you get up and stretch and get yourself back, lift your chin up. My gosh, get your chin up and your posture changes. All right. So I've been working on that because naturally you start to slump. I'm fighting back. There's a reason for that. Guys, You start to manifest what you believe. If the world starts to look disappointing and ugly, if you start counting more negatives and positives and you start expecting it, then they will be that way. They'll multiply. You will manifest it. Does this apply to trading? It absolutely does. Stick with me here. This is all going to come together. I have been preaching. Tripp is probably one of the people in this room that's known me the longest. And Tripp will tell you this goes back decades now. I have been preaching that you trade neutral. And I've been teaching what that means. Guys, your opinion, your skill, your ability to divine the markets and tell which way the market is going to go, the stock is going to go, the index is going to go, and to be able to put yourself in position to take advantage of it from a trading standpoint is an illusion. It is a very tempting thing to get drawn into. We look at others on Facebook and media, and we tend to see everybody's best life, and we think, oh, gee, that's terrible. You know, mine doesn't compare to theirs. Again, we buy into something, then we start to manifest it. When you're neutral, it's a completely different experience than the way most people trade because they lean into a punch. They buy into this idea that somehow, some way, they have figured out, or they will figure out, or somebody else has figured out, and they're trying to copy them because it looks like somebody else has got it figured out. So I'll buy their program and I'll do what they do just blindly because I sure can't figure it out. Wait a minute. Isn't that why we're here at Rob's? No, I hope not. I hope that you recognize that this is an educational process that will help train you to have your own set of skills and be able to manage this on your own, not to have somebody feeding you like pablum, right? I mean, there's so many people, just buy our program and we'll tell you what to do. You know, baloney. Here's the principle of neutrality, guys. You are in the bleachers. If you can imagine being in a game or at a concert, when you are in the market, you're in the bleachers. You are not on the field. You're not on the field. You can't run the football. You can't go make a basket. You can't score a goal. Right? You can't. You're in the bleachers. You can root for one team or root for another team, but that's all you can do. You can sit in the bleachers and watch the game, or you can leave. That's in a trade or not in a trade, but you can't control or affect the outcome. At best, you're betting, like on a horse race. You can pick number 8 and hope that they win. But people, when they trade, tend to put themselves through the vision of the screen. They transpose themselves into the game and think that they can somehow influence the game. That they have, if they try harder, they can influence the outcome. Guys, what can you control? What can you control? In life, there's a great exercise that says take a problem, write down everything that there is in your life that is part of that problem. Now, cross out everything you can't control and deal with the rest of it. That's a great exercise. It's simple. Most people don't do it. They get consumed by the whole list. But if you knock out all the things that you can't control and don't worry about them, worry about the things you can control, you're much better off. Go to the bottom. When I met with Steven Seagal in 2001, long time ago, one of the things he said that I wrote down that has become very, very powerful to me over my life. And he said, when you make it about winning and losing, you've already lost. He said, if you make this about winning and losing, any conflict in life, you've already lost. If you do the right thing in each moment, the winning will take care of itself. Do the right thing in each moment, and the winning will take care of itself. Focus on what you can control, do the right thing in each moment, and don't worry about the things you can't control. If you make it about winning, if you go into the market, this is a contest, I'm going to beat you or you're going to beat me, you've already lost. You're already dead. You're already dead. It's not about winning and losing. Guys, if you do the right thing in each moment, the winning takes care of itself. All right. Don't set yourself up. Now, I want you to go back to your number. I said, give me a number. What is your number? History. Some of you said maybe 30% of the time it works out like I thought. 70% of the time it's not quite what I thought. Guys, if your percentage is 70% of the time or 80% of the time it's not going to be what you thought it was going to be, then quit leaning into it. I didn't write this down on a slide, but I want you to write this down if you're paying any attention at all. There's a 5-letter word, THINK, think. It's a horrible word. In some aspects, when we talk about trading, it's a horrible word. Because when you say I think, you are putting your opinion into something that you have no control over. I think it's going to go up. I think this is going to be, I think the earnings are going to be this way because of what I've heard here and there. And there I'm going to make a trade because I think, guys, you've just committed potential suicide. It doesn't matter what you think. If you have no control over the outcome, it doesn't matter what you think. Okay, well, then what am I supposed to do if I can't think? Okay, that's a fair question. I have an answer. Change the word. Nature hates a vacuum. Your brain hates a vacuum. If you yank a 5-letter word out of the place where it used to be, you better put something back in or it'll just get sucked right back in. So if we pull out that 5-letter word, stick another one back in there, and the word is looks. Tripp wrote it down. He knows this. He memorized it many years ago, and he lives by it, and I love it. Look, LOOK. If you say it looks like it's going up, did you put your opinion in there? Well, kind of. But did you risk anything? No. Is it possible that you're wrong? No. You see, guys, when you say I think and it goes against you, you have a juxtaposition. You got a conflict. You thought one way and it went neener and slapped you in the face. Well, now you got to deal with this. Somebody was wrong. Well, most people don't like to be wrong, so they look for excuses. Well, this happened or that happened. Well, da 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 da. Okay, we're making excuses. The fact is, you're wrong. When you put your opinion out there by saying I think, you run the risk of being wrong. If you're wrong, it will trigger it'll trigger negative outcomes, negative responses. You want to blame something. You get upset. You get frustrated. Part of your brain's going, see, I knew it was going to be wrong. 80% of the time, it doesn't work out. You're always, 80% of the time, you're probably going to lose. And see, now you're starting to manifest the fear. And you did it. It's self-imposed and it's self-maintained as long as you allow that process to continue in your head. Guys, you remove 5 letters, THINK, and you put in 5 letters, LOOKS. Now you can't be wrong. You can't trigger the cortisol. You can't trigger the shame of, oh, one more time. Guys, if I say everything that I'm seeing here, it looks like it's going to go up and it goes down. Was I wrong? No, I was exactly right. Yeah, but it went down. Yeah. So what did I say? I said it looks like it's going to, and it didn't do it. Was I wrong? No, it did look like it was going to do it. It just didn't do it. I don't have any control of which way that stock goes when the earnings come out. I have no way of knowing for sure. Now, it may have done it 8 times in a row. Well, then I got a pretty good reason to believe. And based on the past, it looks like it's going to do that. But don't you dare say, I think it's going to go up and I'm trading this because I think it's going to go up. Guys, that's suicide. I don't care if you think this is simple or do you think this is juvenile, or if you think, oh, this is kind of a silly thing, right? It's so obvious. Baloney, guys. It's not obvious because people step in this pile, this steaming pile of doo-doo every single day. It's part of what makes the market work. The market would not work the way it does if people didn't commit this kind of stupid hara-kiri over and over and over again. Get it through your head. You're in the bleachers. You can't control the outcome. You have no business putting your opinion into a trade. You should trade based on what it looks like and what the odds are and the fact that you've got a thought out plan that says, if this goes the opposite direction of what it looks like, not what I think, but what it looks like it's going to do, then it will trigger this response. It'll cost me this much, and I'm okay with that. But if it does what it looks like it's going to do, then I'm going to make some money on it. If it goes all the way in the direction it looks like it's going to go, then I'll make this much money. And I can look at that and say, if I have a chance here of making $500, and if it goes the opposite direction, it's going to cost me $100. That's a 5-to-1 ratio. Am I okay with that? Yeah, I like that. I like it. No, 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 no. Let's assume you have the $100 taken away. Are you still okay? Now, if you got a problem with that, no, you're not okay. Your plan isn't solid yet. You're not in the right mindset. You've got to be able to say, yes, I'm willing to spend $100 to go after that 5, because it looks like it could do it. It everything lines up. It looks like it might do that. So I'm willing to spend $100 to find out. And it'll cost me $100 if it doesn't work. Okay, I'm okay with that. Guys, there's no opinion. I can't be wrong. I'm just paying to be in the bleachers. I'm willing to pay because it looks like this could work. It has nothing to do with what I think. And yet I can almost guarantee that every one of you has or maybe continues to do this, to trade based on what you think. And then you get disappointed. And then you start seeing more red in the room and more red in the room. And you're not seeing yellow because you're not looking for yellow. All you're seeing is red. Or woe is me. I'm so frustrated. I'll never get this. It never works out. You're manifesting it. And you're exacerbating the problem because you continue to throw your opinion into something that you have no control over, which means the odds are you're going to keep getting beat up, which reinforces the negatives. And eventually you become cynical. You have all the cortisol circulating around in your body, and you become Eeyore. Right? Guys, do the right thing at each moment. The winning will take care of itself. Leave your opinion out of it. Trade on what it looks like it's going to do, not what you think it's going to do. Okay? Trade on what it looks like it's going to do with good risk management, not what you think it's going to do. Because what you think is a powerful thing. It sets you up in situations where you have no business being. If you think that 70% of the time means that nothing ever works out for me, then nothing will ever work out for you. And your subconscious will make sure that nothing ever works out for you, because that's what it believes. You've allowed to believe that, yourself to believe it, and you will manifest it. Just like Tripp said, you send that out there, it brings home the bacon. It'll bring back what you send out. So is there anything wrong with being optimistic? No. Is there anything wrong with living in an attitude of gratitude? No, I highly recommend it. Be careful about how you utilize your opinion on things that you have no control over, though. There are no weeds in my garden. There are no weeds in my garden. Yes, there are. And they're bigger today than they were yesterday. There's ways to get rid of the weeds in the garden, but it's not sitting there in the lotus position. That's not the way you do it. You can powerfully manifest things with your attitude, but it goes good and bad. And when you think you can do something that you have no control over, that doesn't mean that you will suddenly have control over it. It's just not the way it works, folks. So when we trade, you do it based on history, you do it based on observations, you do it based on risk reward analysis. It's very rational. Very rational. Most people do it very emotionally. The last thing they're trading is rational. But it should be. And if you can set up a trading plan that covers the exit points and the risk management and the expectation of profit or gain, when you set that up, you are doing the right thing in each moment, and the winning will take care of itself. Guys, if all of your trades have a 4 or 5-to-1 upside, you only have to hit 1 out of 4 to make money. Isn't that amazing? You only have to hit 1 out of 4 if you have the right win or ratio of exposure to risk or to gain. risk reward. If that ratio is there, it's a numbers game. It's not emotional. When there's money on the line and you're not sure, trade with no money, right? Eh, yeah, you can start that way. But quickly you should go to where there's very little risk, but there's some risk. So if it stings you and it shows you didn't do this trade right, but it only cost you $100. Okay, I can afford that. But it did sting. It makes it real. Try it again. And when you've got it running pretty good with just $100 at risk, then you can ramp it up. The reward gets bigger, the risk gets bigger, but you're okay with that because your skill set has improved. Got it? All right, we're going to shift over and go to charts. We're going to do what we tend to be doing a lot lately is finish the last half of the class looking at your examples, the stocks you want to look at. We've got about 20 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes here, and we'll look at some of your stocks and we'll analyze them. And we'll use some of our skill sets in charting to answer some questions on the stocks that you would like or the index that you would like to look at. Okay, we're going to go there. But I hope there's some benefit in what we've gone over today. Guys, trading is an exercise in mental control. You are, in fact, another phrase that I coined, you are the most dangerous person in the world to be alone with. When you sit alone at your computer, guys, you are the most dangerous person to be alone with in that room. Bringing in some kind of third party help, talking out loud, even. There's a lot of things you can do to help improve your odds. But that's the last thing I'll just throw at you. If you haven't heard that, write it down and think about it. You are, in fact, the most dangerous person in the world to be alone with. Jennifer says, I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing because you're right. That's perfect, Jennifer. This should cut. You should be able to say, okay, I get it. Ouch, boy, I better pay attention because that hit me. That hit me square. Okay, good. Hope you got something. All right, we're going to shift over, change the screen sharing. Let's see. We're going right here. Okay. All righty. So the last time we were together, and I loved leaving these charts up here because then you can take a look and see the things that we were looking at. And I'm going to take this line and just extend that out to the right. Okay. When we talked about NVIDIA last time, we identified the rotations on this chart, the lines on the freeway, and we were right here tapping on the line. Now, at that point, we said, I remember saying, this is right down at a potential pivot point. This will be significant. If it starts up, we have targets to the left. We've got a double top right here. We will be in the third rotation of the chart, but you're back down to this point. Now, the next thing that comes into play is, yeah, but what if it doesn't? What if this thing drops? What if they break through this support level, which, by the way, when you look at this, look how strong this support level. This is a big wedge type of a pattern. It's a big confluence. You've got a wedge type of pattern. You're pounding in a base in an uptrend. And when you pound in a base in an uptrend, eventually you work yourself over to the right till you hit support. Now you're either going to bounce off support and keep going in the uptrend, or you're going to lose the uptrend. If you lose the uptrend, you look backwards to the left and you say, where will we find support? Well, the next area of support is right here. You see, that's the last place where there was a big discussion, reached a consensus, and everybody decided to go up. Everybody decided to start outbidding each other and drive the price. The buying pressure overrode the selling pressure, and so it rose up, and we made a run all the way up here to 983, or about 980. We pulled back, same angle of attack, same angle on it, just switched lanes on the freeway. We shot back up to 980 again, or 970 something. So we got a double top. Then we come down to the next line, bounce off of it, come down to our support line, bounce there. and started to climb up. And at that point, right there is where we left class last time we were together. What happened? We slipped below. We're still in the support area. We tried to climb back up. We knocked on the door. They said, no, get out of here. Oh, shoot. So here it goes. It goes down. Where can I get in? Where can I find a place to stay tonight? You know, where it's cold and rainy outside, I'm getting beat up. Where can I find a nice warm place to lay my head? Well, you look back here at the last support level, and the last support level is right here. And we'll put 2 lines because we want to put the kind of general support, and then we'll put where the tails are. Okay, there's the rallying point for the last time that we were at. Hold still. I can't get it to fine tune here a little bit. But right, well, all right, I missed it. But right there at about 770. 770, what is it? 770. Okay. So what do? We come down there, bounce off 770, rally back up, and we're rotating back down. Now, a couple things are going to happen here. There's a couple things that can happen. One is we can be starting a new downtrend. If we are, then we start putting lanes on the freeway for this. We grab this line, pull this down right to here, and we go, oh, isn't that interesting? All right, there's the width of our trading range coming down. And if we don't find support right here at 770, the next area that we look for where buyers could bring in enough pressure that buying pressure would overcome the selling pressure is likely down here at 667. Okay, that's likely where we're going to find it. There's nothing in between. Well, what about this gap in this consolidation? Maybe, but that's not a support area. That collapsed. Could there be some hesitation in here? Yeah, there could. 740, sure. I'll give you that. But the next level of support is likely going to drop all the way down to 670. Now, if it did it right away, it would break out of the downtrend. That's okay. Remember, in a downtrend, the top line is the one that counts up here. These intermediate lanes are lanes on the freeway. And let me show you what's actually happening so we can put this in perspective. We've set another precedent right there. These would be the target areas that I would look for on the downtrend. If we drop quickly on NVIDIA, I would look for the support line to be down, or the price support to be down around this 670. But if it dropped quickly, bouncing off this blue line anywhere in here, if it did in the next couple of days and it dropped down to here, I go, perfect. Now that makes sense. But these 2 lines would represent my target lines to find support on the way down. Eventually, it'll find enough support where it'll turn around and rally back up. But if it continues to move down, these are the parameters that I would look. Do I think that it's going to go here? Well, watch. I'll play a game with you. If it follows the pattern, that's where it will go. You want my opinion? I'll give you my opinion, and I'll do it safely. I will give you my opinion without risking anything. If it follows the pattern, it will go right here to 760 again. That's not my opinion. That's a prediction. I predict that as fact. Why? Because it is a fact. If it follows the pattern, that's where it'll go. If it follows the pattern for the next solid price support below 760, it'll come down here to 670. Why? Because that's where it is. That's a fact. So if it follows the pattern for the next good price support, it has to go there. You see, I can say that without risking anything. I can't be wrong. But I have to say it right. Otherwise, I set up a disconnect in my brain that has to be justified by, you were wrong. No, I wasn't. Yes, you were. Oh, crap, I'm no good. Or, no, I refuse that. I'm not wrong. Okay. Why even go there? Right? Why even go there, guys? Now, what does MACD say? MACD says that we traveled long enough sideways here to reset to 0. We broke through. It's following it. So what is MACD doing right now? It's just following. That's what it normally does. MACD only gives you good signals on most stocks, active stocks, 2 or 3 times a year. You'll get a good divergent signal. Right now, it's just following. Okay, it looks like it's going to take a little bounce to the upside. Okay, well, good. Maybe it bounces up and bounces off the blue line and comes down again. Maybe it comes up and goes to the blue line right here, the horizontal at 854, and fights its way through. Okay, well, then we have a whole different story. Now we got into sideways trading, and maybe eventually it'll go into an uptrend again. I don't know how big of a correction this is, and I don't know if it's big enough. We're not at earnings. Earnings are out here at the end of the third week in May, so earnings aren't going to be a factor right away. Right now, this huge run up in NVIDIA, and guys, this was exponential. This was way bigger than is normal. From NVIDIA to go from 670 all the way up to 975 and do it in less than a month, that's phenomenal. It's extraordinary. It makes sense to get back into normal. This was too steep. At the risk of putting too many lines on here, I'm going to just throw out an idea. If we wind up finding this starting to happen, we would look back and say, well, is there any history of NVIDIA taking runs at that angle? And the answer is, that's still pretty steep. I mean, NVIDIA is a great stock. This is a strong run for more than a half a year. This is an upward trend, a lot more subtle, a lot more subdued, but that lasted for over a year. Well, let's go back farther in time. We had this happen once before where we went up at this angle that we're just projecting. So it's not unheard of, it's there. But this one here is much more conducive to this one and this one. Here we have a flat trading period, and then we have one that got crazy, but then we had an earnings or a dividend. We had a split. So now we go back to normal. But look what happened. When you had this big vertical run, what happened? You had a big correction to get it back to normal. We had a big run, then it goes sideways to cool off. Now we've had a big spike. If we follow the pattern, we're likely to see, based on history, we're likely to see NVIDIA pull back to settle things down or run sideways for a while to cool down the engines before it takes off again. That's history. We've been going sideways for basically 2 months. Historically, it takes longer than that to cool this thing down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months before it took off again. 1, 2, 3, over a year of correction before it took off again. So if that's history, who are you to say, well, I don't believe that history. I think it's going to, oh, you think what? Careful now. Careful now. What you think does not matter at all. Not a bit. You have history, and you can say, this is what it looks like. And you play what it looks like, not what you think it's going to do. Brenda, is the setting 8, 18, and 6 for MACD? It is. That's the settings that I like to use. All right. Let's look at, whoops. Okay. So a request on SPX. Let's spend a minute on this. First of all, these are lines that we drew 2 classes ago. I'm going to go back in history here. So we've got a lot of lines, but we need the big picture. Where are we at in the big picture? So if we go back 4 years, January of 2020, COVID. This is the big picture on the S&P. Okay. Is that relative to where we're at right now? Not really. We want to look at a picture that is, because there's nothing in here on the big scale between the top and the bottom that is influencing where we're at right now. So now we want to pull this back in and look at the last year. Okay. So we'll come back in here, and now we're looking at the last year. We'll give it just a little bit more. Okay. There's the last year. All right. So what are we doing? Well, we haven't looked at this for a month or 2. And we're going to extend this off to the right. And we're going to see that this angle of attack continued on. We kept fighting up, slipping a little bit, fighting up, and then we drifted out, double topped, and out we go over. Now we're looking for support. Now we're starting into a downtrend. And I'm going to remove just a couple things here. And take this out. There we go. This right here is real. This is a support level. This is another support level. Okay. Where else do we have support? Well, I'm not seeing much. Do we have a downtrend? Maybe. We definitely have a series of lower tops starting to form. We also see a correlation, which I'm always looking for, is the parallel. There we go. And so right now, that's all we have to play with. Is there anything that could wind up giving us any other support on the way down? And there is. We got a little gap and we've got a double tap right here. Strong, yeah, it's there. And if I go to a line chart instead of a candle, which I can't reach right here because my title bar or my toolbar is in the way. There we go. Move my toolbar out of the way. Okay, so we do have a little double bottom right here. And when we go back to candles, we can see that we tap danced right there on 49.60. We came down, we took a little bounce there. Okay, that makes sense. So right now, all I've got to go on is this. I have some support here at 49.60. I've got a downtrend shaping up. And there's not much to use as a tool here. So we look at our indicators and say, what have you got? Well, MACD, what are you doing? Yeah, following it. But look at this. As we reached up and we threw a double top here, the right side was a little higher than the left. MACD went, yeah, I don't think so. And we start to get divergence. Why was it going flat through here? Because we were consolidating for 3 weeks, just chopping sideways. A little bit of a divergence, bearish divergence right there, and we get a correction coming down. We below the line, we're starting to follow up. It's following the stock. It's not giving us anything right now. So I got nothing other than the picture. I don't have anything to trade off. You want to grab a whole bunch of other indicators, knock yourself out. But right now, I would look at this and I would simply look at it within the confines of 49.60 and the downtrend. We turn around, break this downtrend line, then we're looking to move back up to the top here at 52.70. That'd be the target. All right, let me go back. Did I forget to update my chart today? No, I updated it just before class started, but if you recall, it doesn't update in live unless you're paying extra for it to get live updates. It doesn't give me intraday here. So this is through yesterday. All right, let's take a look at Amazon. Okay, Amazon, big picture. How do we fit in the big scheme of things here? Something didn't work here. Hang on. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go back and let's see, make sure we're on candles. This is the macro look right here. Now, double click. We're going to pull this up to the first peak, which is right there. We're going to put in an intermediate line. It's going to be right. Get along these tops. You have correlation. Yeah, it's pretty strong right there. And we'll move right up into here. Okay. All right, so this has been going on for over a year. So there's multiple patterns inside of this. But again, we're looking for the macro. The next thing that I see that is very significant is this right here. Get that to go level and this, yeah, that's close enough. You can see what's going on here. This to me is the most significant thing in the trading of Amazon right now is this picture right here, because this is the last 3 months. We've got a support area down here at 166. We've got an established, okay, we've already established that we can get up here to 189. That's a given. So there's no mystery about getting there. In fact, we were there 2 weeks ago. So from 189, we dropped down to 166. And we either hold this line or we break through and fill the gap, which would be down to 161. And then the next support area would be down right here at 155. Or we bounce here. And if we bounce here, your upside initial target would be right here. And I'm just basing on what I see, what it looks like. 180. And then there's really nothing between 180 and that 190 up there. I'll bring this back here a little bit to show you how strong this 180 is. Failed rally, failed rally, fail, fail, fail. Get through, bounce on it like a trampoline, shoot up here, come back down, knock your head against it one more time, can't do it, and we fall. So fail, 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 4 fails. Now we have 5. We had 1 bounce off the trampoline there. But this line has served as a failure point 5 times now. What does that tell you? That means when the traders get up here, are they going to be remembering that the last 5 times we came against 180 going to the upside, 5 out of the last 6 times we failed. Actually, 5 out of 5 times we failed. On one of them, we managed to fight through eventually, but we failed on the initial 2 attempts. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5 failures at 180. Guys, people remember. The traders coming up against that are going to remember. Be careful. 5 times that was a failure point. 5 out of 5. So would it be significant if they break across 180? Yes, I think that it would be a sprint. Okay. It would look like, it looks to me like there would be a sprint across the line all the way up to 190. You catch how I caught myself when I said I think? As soon as I said, I went, oh, crap. Okay. Didn't mean it. It just came out and then I corrected it. So if it comes across that line, you would look for it to run up here because that's the history. There's nothing between 180 and 190 to stop you. But there's 5 really good reasons to have a fight when you get there. Okay. All right, guys, that's all the time we've got. I hope that this is helpful to you. I really do. Jennifer says it's at 180 right now. And we are at, oh, it's at 180 right now. Imagine that. Imagine that. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Helen. All the ladies are telling me thank you. None of the gents give a crap today. So that's okay. At least I have ladies who love me. That's awesome. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you next time. It's been a blast. I really, really do enjoy doing this, and I hope it's been helpful. But please remember what we talked about. You got to learn how to trade neutral. You just have to. You will be leaning into the punch. You'll be just self-inflicting wounds and self-maintaining those wounds if you don't learn how to trade neutral, guys. You're welcome, Scott. You're welcome. Jennifer, that was not nice to say. That's funny. All right, guys, take care. God bless. And we will see you on the next go around. Bye-bye.